And you know, while gun violence has become a rightful focal point in America, it's described as a public health crisis. All of this swirling in the midst of an ongoing pandemic that has really taken its own toll on Americans and their own mental health. Take a look at these numbers. The entire New York City area still remains in the COVID high alert level. As of Thursday, New York's 7-day average positivity rate statewide at 7.68%. New York City tracks just above 6%. A little more than 2,500 people remain hospitalized due to COVID in our area. So joining us to discuss these issues this morning is the nation's leading infectious disease expert, chief medical advisor to the President of the United States, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Fauci.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
So, Doctor, let's begin with the very latest, okay? I mean, this is reality. New variants emerging, as you know. Each variant presents differently, right? Some more contagious than others. So, Doctor, is there an end to the cycle of variants, or is this really the new normal that we're in?
Well, we certainly will continue to get variants. Hopefully, they won't be so far different than what we've been dealing with that it would evade completely the protection that one gets from infection-induced immunity, hopefully boosted following that, as well as vaccine-induced immunity, again, hopefully with the appropriate boosts. I believe we're going to be dealing with this virus on a chronic basis. What we really hope to do, and the more people that get vaccinated and the more people that get boosted make this more likely, that it will reach a level low enough that it doesn't disrupt us to the extent that it has over the past couple of years. Okay. We're not going to eradicate this. Yeah. That's sure. We've only done that with one virus, and that was a virus that didn't change very much, smallpox. And I very doubt that we'll eliminate it completely from the United States, but we will have it hopefully at a low enough level that it doesn't disturb us to the extent of disrupting society. We certainly are not there yet, right, just so given the numbers that you've shown.
Should we then, Doctor, change the way tests are shown, right? People at these at-home tests, they don't necessarily have to report them, so you don't have a true accurate count of how many people really are infected at any given time.
Yeah. The one thing that is accurate that we could follow well is hospitalizations.
Okay.
So we don't want to poo-poo the idea of people getting infected, because people get infected, and even though they don't have to be hospitalized, which is a reflection very, very clearly, objectively, of severe disease, people can get significant amount of discomfort of an infection, even if they don't require hospitalization. But the one data points that are really accurate are the number of hospitalizations. Right. You're absolutely right. With the home test, we are likely undercounting the number of tests of cases that you have just reported that we get over a period of time, because many people don't report it. Right. But it's the hospitalization which reflects severe illness, which is quite important.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That's a good point. I want to talk about the vaccines, because that is the big fight here. Right now, boosters are available, as you know, for those over the age of 65. So I guess the million-dollar question is, when do you anticipate boosters for everyone?
That's a good point. I believe that virtually, when you talk about boosters now, if you're talking about a third shot, everybody is available from 12 above to get a third shot. I mean, there's no doubt about that. When you're talking about a fourth shot, that's the determination that was made by the Food and Drug Administration, as well as by the CDC, that people 50 years of age or older, particularly those who are even older than that, and those with underlying conditions, are eligible for that fourth shot and should get the fourth shot if they are 50 years of age or older.
That's a good point, Dr. Fauci, because you just said the booster to the booster, right? So is this the new normal? When do we phase out the term booster and transition to, I guess, maybe a yearly shot, much like a flu shot? Is that a possibility or a reality?
And I think you just hit the nail right on the head of where we're going, that we should really be, and ultimately we'll be talking more about keeping your vaccinations up to date. Namely, if you go a certain period of time without having gotten a boost, that you would be due for a boost. That might ultimately merge into a yearly boost. We don't know that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it is entirely conceivable that we know that immunity wanes over time, and we know that you need to be boosted to be continued to be protected. So depending upon what this virus does, there is certainly a reasonably good chance that we will have the same sort of situation that we have with influenza, where every year you have to reboost people to keep that protection up.
And the million-dollar question as well is vaccines for those under the age of 5. It seems Pfizer and Moderna are almost there. Is there a timeline? Is June looking like the timeline?
You know, I don't want to get ahead of the FDA, but they indicate that they're close to that. They're really examining in a very expeditious manner the data that have been presented by the company. So we all hope that we're really talking really quite soon.
Good. Dr. Fauci, there's a lot to talk about in terms of COVID, but I also want to get you on this monkeypox that has surfaced, especially here in New York. There was a possible case. Is there a real concern?
Well, it's something that you have to always take seriously when you get a new infection introduced into society. Yeah. Monkeypox is not a new disease. It isn't like COVID, where it is a brand new disease. It's a disease we've known about for a while. It resembles smallpox, but is much less severe. It's an infection that has a mortality, at least from the isolates that have been coming from West Africa, which is likely the point source of the things that we're dealing with now in multiple countries, has a mortality of about 1% or less. Most of the people have a 2 to 4 week course that then spontaneously resolves. We have vaccinations. The vaccinations that we brought together for smallpox are effective against monkeypox and smallpox, as well as drugs. We developed drugs back, remember, in the anthrax days when we were concerned about smallpox being a bioterror instrument. We developed not only more smallpox vaccines, which happened to work against monkeypox, but we also developed therapies, antivirals, that work against monkeypox. So we have interventions for this. So it's not something we take lightly, but we don't see this at all as something to panic about.
All right, good. That's good news. Dr. Fauci, I'm up against the clock here, but I do want to get you on what we're seeing play out in this country right now, this epidemic of gun violence. Would you describe this as a public health crisis?
Yeah. You know, I can't comment on that, really, because when I do comment on that, it gets taken out of context. I comment on infectious diseases. I mean, I clearly am very, very pained by what is going on in this country, and anyone that isn't completely moved by what happened in Texas just is not really particularly sensitive to the reality of what we're going through. But I don't want to make a public health determinations of that, because that will certainly be taken out of context.
Understood. I respect that. Dr. Anthony Fauci, it is always good to have you here, and it's always good to talk to you. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
All right.